I'd like to welcome Dave Riley from the Buckinghamshire LEP and Caris Doris from the Polka, who will be presenting to you this morning, and also from BBF, our own Sarah Randall, just giving you a few hints and tips on various aspects. So thank you so much for coming in this morning. And I would very much like now to hand over to David, who's going to take us through the next hour in his very capable hands. So thank you, David, and over to you.
Thank you, Jane, for that introduction. This is the second of 3 consecutive sessions we are looking at exploring ChatGPT and generative AI. I'm really excited that we're all really excited here at Buxlet and with the BBF in the interest in this area. And I hope you've had one of the underlying messages that we had last month was actually to start playing with it. And I hope you've had some interesting experiences when you've been experimenting with it. Let us firstly just refresh ourselves about what generative AI is before we start. So generative AI is something called a large language model, and it's got this incredible ability to process huge amounts of data, text, images, and user-friendly formats and deliver answers and outputs in real time. And these outputs are quite unique because they are quite realistic and they're quite trustworthy. So this is a fantastic tool. We also talked about the speed in which this particular tool reached 1 million users, and we worked out that was 5 days, which in a sense is unprecedented in terms of other technologies that we've seen in the past. So we're really delighted to follow on from that first session and examine today more about how we use prompting, how we can extract the most value from it. I'm just to reiterate who I am, because I've not met you all. I'm the Buckinghamshire lead on digital and innovation. I work very closely with Buckinghamshire. I work very closely with Buckinghamshire, other businesses, and I'm very involved in working with Buck Business First in terms of the tools that are available for their community. So we are going to examine 2 things today. Firstly, prompt engineering, examining and understanding what it is and why it matters. Secondly, we're going to examine text and the use of images. So Caris Doris, who is the founder of Polka, we're really delighted that she's going to join us in the second half, really exploring DALL-E, Midjourney, and some of the other tools that are useful for us and particularly relevant to any of you that are wanting to use this type of technology for more visual messaging. So, and if we do have time at the end, we're going to open it up for questions and answers. And before I start, I just wanted Sarah Randall just to pop in and just reiterate some of the issues in relation to compliance and a couple of things that we just need to remind ourselves about the potential dangers with ChatGPT and generative AI. Over to Sarah just to reiterate those points.
Hello, everybody. So yes, I'm the head of operations for Buckinghamshire Business First, and part of my remit is the IT and data and GDPR and all things risk. Our culture at BBF is one whereby we love new technology, we embrace it, we're always looking for new and innovative ways of working, but we balance that with a reliance on our reputation for good governance. We hold a certificate, Cyber Essentials certificate, and our funders and our members expect us to treat their data with a high degree of caution and respect. So there's a real balance to be struck between new technology and risk. So when ChatGPT came along, we had the same thought process that we have with all new technologies, and actually we haven't just allowed it, but we actively encouraged the use of ChatGPT. But what we did was asked our team to abide by some guidelines, and I'm sort of sharing some of those with you today, but within the context of encouraging you to use it. It's a great new technology. So the first thing is never to share any personal or sensitive or company data within the platform. So the free ChatGPT tool uses, David's going to talk to you about prompts. So a prompt is the user input data. ChatGPT uses that to further train itself. So any data that you put into the tool, it retains and it uses it to train itself. And there's some well-documented examples, if you want to Google, of organisations that fell over themselves, where employees put data in and then that data was lost. And if you want to Google the Samsung one, that's a high-profile one where employees lost source code and confidential data. So fingers were burned. The other thing I would say is human oversight is key. ChatGPT, you talk to it, so it feels quite human. You write questions in human language and it replies to you in human language, and it gives you a false sense that it has an understanding of the world. It doesn't. It generates its response based on patterns it's learned. It doesn't have any sense of meaning or implication. And by its own admission, it's not a reliable source for factual accuracy. And you really do need to fact check, read, proofread, have colleagues check any content that's produced through AI, through ChatGPT or whatever AI tool that you're using. And the other thing I would say, if you're using the free ChatGPT tool, is it's out of date. The model's knowledge is based on data that it was trained on, and that is data that dates back to January 2022. So this will change. So the paid for tool is more up to date, but currently the free version of ChatGPT is January 2022, and it does give you a health warning at the top. So some health warnings, I guess. But having said all of that, and despite my words of caution, I'd encourage everybody to give it a go. It's a great tool, and I did share some of these words of caution before, but I know there are some people on the call that weren't here last time. The two things that I get most value from, to encourage you to go and give it a go, is a blank page. It's amazing to get you over that blank page-itis. You know, ask it something, it will give you something, some inspiration to get you started. And it's bloody brilliant for maths homework that I'm doing with my son. Not only does it give you the answer, but it gives you all of the workings out. And if you still don't understand it, you can say, give me another way of doing it, and it will give you another way of doing it. And it's just amazing at really helping you understand a problem. Give it a go. It's fantastic.
Thank you, Sarah. Really appreciate that. Just to reiterate, so in particular, I think the point one is really important. Sharing personal information. This is a really big problem. And you know, when you've got your staff playing around with ChatGPT, it can be tempting to accidentally share information that's confidential. So please remember those points. So the purpose today is really, overall of these three webinars is about productivity and this point about experimenting. Just the more that we can download the app onto our mobile phone and just play around with it, that's really going to transform what we know can be applied for our own businesses. So that's really important. We're going to look at case studies throughout these three sessions, and what we try to do throughout is show you, demonstrate examples of how it works to validate each of those points. We do, if we've got time at the end, invite you to share your own experiences. I hope you can make connections in these sessions, and I hope it will inspire you to kind of free up time in your day to really start playing around with it and make a difference. So let's go to the start of what this session is about. So what do we mean by a prompt? Well, Chat GPT prompts is the process of creating input questions and text, instructing the generative AI, in this case Chat GPT, to generate a desired response. And when you reflect on what I've just said, it seems quite simple, but if we reflect, go back, I think 20 years to when Google first came out, what we found, what we've seen through the evolution of Google, is that those people that asked it very specific, detailed, relevant questions were able to use it to extract the best answers. And in a sense, that principle applies to ChatGPT, and from our own observations of its best use, the ability to really master the technique of prompts is going to make quite a dramatic impact in terms of the information that you extract that is relevant to your business. So well-defined prompts really ensure that you extract the information, but it also makes sure that you keep your conversation on track, and it allows you to really extract the best information. And conversely, if you are in a very specific niche, poorly defined prompts can lead to conversations that are disjointed, lack focus, and they don't deliver the correct result that you really need. So that's prompts defined. So why we today saying to you that this really matter? Well, writing quality precise prompts is really the key to unlocking the full power and potential of generative AI. And prompts, as I was saying earlier, can be, the importance of this is actually continuing your conversations, allowing you to refine, to get into the habit of refining your prompts as you are having that conversation, because you may find that if you're not asking the right prompt, you might get annoyed with the tool. And with smaller businesses, with our small business community, we know from the data that our small businesses range right across business, and often you are occupying a very specific micro niche with a very specific language and terminology relevant to your own business. So the importance of precise prompts is really, really vital to get the right outputs. You may have heard in discussions and the lexicon of conversation about ChatGPT, this new emerging skill called prompt engineering. And this is, we can define prompt engineering as the practice of crafting and fine-tuning prompts to effectively extract from ChatGPT relevant and desired outputs. So this is a new field that businesses are starting to recruit for, this specific talent of engineering, and again, enabling efficient problem solving by creating the right content tailored. It's all about tailoring to your specific needs. And this is a real talent. But really today we just want you to learn about simple things that we can do that will really make a difference to us. So let's go straight in. I'm going to go straight in and start with the importance of context. And again, this is quite obvious, but it's good to mention. So when we prefix a question and we add what I mean there is add information before the question and give as much background context to ChatGPT, it's far easier for the AI to really understand the contextual relevancy of our question. And what we should assume is that actually this is a very, very sophisticated language processing tool that can understand contextual meaning, and that's really powerful for us. So perhaps unlike Google that came before, ChatGPT is very sophisticated at understanding contextually relevant questions and how they relate to answers. So this is just a question. I'm giving you an example of what I mean by that. Discuss the importance of sustainability in a language that 6-year-olds would understand. So we can use different ages to actually make the point about the answer that we seek. So very important if you have a context to your question to think about how you can add that. Secondly, and related to that, is asking and providing as much detail as possible. So you might, in this case, want to add the overall tone of the post. You might want to add its length. You might want to add detail regarding who it is aimed at. And again, this example is just, I hope you can see that in the image, it just is adding a bit more detail and substance to a question about social media posting. And in the context, it's got a little heading there under the question. It's got a bit of context about the business, about the target audience, about the brand voice, about the goal. So you might see, well, that's not really going to make much difference. It is going to make a huge amount of difference to the answers that you get, the value that we get from this tool. So when you're using it, provide as much detail, and you'll see from experimenting the difference in the answers that you get. Thirdly, you can also go up a level in this context and set the format of response. So how do you want this response to be delivered? A way to do that is maybe to provide 3 bullet points. Now, sometimes the sophistication of this tool is that they will ream off reams and reams of bullet points. So you may be really under the pressure with time. You just want the 3 best bullet points in answer to this question. Again, feel confident to give it really clear instructions of how you want the response to be given. Think about time. Think about precision here. You might want, and this is something I've had quite a lot of luck with, is actually to invite ChatGPT to represent an identity. And this approach can be really, again, with a micro niche, this can be really valuable to give the tool a specific identity. In this case, this question is just asking, I'm a CEO of a small bookkeeping company in Buckinghamshire. Create a LinkedIn post in a friendly, engaging tone for LinkedIn aimed at busy entrepreneurs. You can see it's a very specific question and instruction and prompt that I am asking around including my identity. So this is where you can really dramatically improve the outputs. Another example, this is just one I follow the entrepreneur, Steve Bartlett. Create an inspirational post in the tone of Stephen Bartlett about approaches to mental health designed for smaller businesses. Base your tone on the usefulness and value of Steve Bartlett's previous post on LinkedIn. So it's very clever at picking up tone. And you can see here the language that in the, thinking this is Steve Bartlett, you can see the kind of language of the response it's given. So it's very, very good at picking up tones. So maybe there is someone that you would like your answers to be toned around. So don't be afraid to play around with that. Very, very powerful. Number 6. So feel free to ask a unique creative. We talked a lot about creative ideas, and Karis will be explaining some uses of visuals and images, but don't be afraid to be asking it about creative ideas. This is where the tool is really, really valuable. So you can instruct ChatGPT to suggest creative, unique ideas and maybe analogies to describe a topic. I know that sometimes when we're working in an area, a domain that potentially we think is not that exciting for our customers, can we use this tool to come up with more creative ideas for things like story ideas, for ideas for marketing? That's where ChatGPT can be such a good stimulant for conversation. So in this example, I'm just showing you a question that I have submitted to ChatGPT. What are some alternative, quirky, creative topics I can write about to share on LinkedIn to gain more customer engagement and around the subject of raising money for small businesses, for example? So you can see here that ChatGPT will straight away list some really good bullet points. We may decide that some of these ideas aren't good for us, but 2 or 3 of them might be worth exploring. So creativity, again, very, very useful for if we're seeking inspiration. Very valuable. So again, for a small business, often we're looking for quick, fast solutions. So I have found this prompt very useful for me personally. Tailor your prompt to more solution focused, steering towards a constructive problem solving response that you might need. So again, this is not a particularly clear example, but you can just augment the instruction, the language, into very precise solution focused questions, and that's really powerful. We are assuming that we're going to be really busy, so don't be again too afraid. Just get to the nub of the response that we want. Very useful. So lastly, and that's giving you kind of 8 recommendations today. The last point I really want to make on prompts is simply going back to the original point I was making today, is about testing. And this is really, really important because, you know, I'm assuming, again, we're all assuming that there's certain nuance in the language of the style of questioning, and there's probably, you know, specific words or terminology that are very relevant to your own industry. So this is where testing is really important. We need to test, refine, see what's working for our business, and encourage our colleagues also to test and learn. And what you'll find with testing is you'll see certain variables come up, such as things like length of the prompt for what you're seeking, and reply, maybe writing styles, maybe tones. You might find that ChatGPT is particularly good in useful in one area of your business. So testing your prompts is really, really vital. So we want to make that point really clear to you today, is to keep doing that. And we'll have again the links at the end of today for downloading the app to your mobile phone. That's the best way to do it. That's the way in which I've learned most, is on the way to work. I will use the ChatGPT tool phone, and I'll see it working for myself and where it can really make a difference. So let's take a deep breath. And I've been going quite fast this morning. We're going to take a break. While we do that, we've got a couple of minutes before I introduce Caris. I'm going to ask you to maybe comment in the chat. Would anyone like to share their own experience before I introduce you to Caris on how, maybe you can say a comment about how you have personally found ChatGPT useful. You might want to make a comment about, I found it useful in marketing, I found it useful in documentation, I found it useful in X, Y, and Z. If anyone would like to share right now in the chat, that would be really useful. So Andrew, one of our guests, thank you, Andrew. Good afternoon, Pippa. I've got a quick question here I think it's from Pippa. Do you think it's negative when a social media post is obviously written by ChatGPT? Really good question, because Caris, we've got our expert here on social media. So I'm going to wait until the end of Caris's talk to answer that particular post about ChatGPT and content creating. Really important question. Thank you for that. So we'll come back to that particular question. Anyone else want to share their own experiences before I introduce Caris, or comments about ChatGPT, anything about where it's been useful for yourselves? Not yet. Well, if you do have any comments, please bring them up at the end of today. There's a question about Bing, Bard, Perplexity. Quite a sophisticated question there. Again, I'll come back to that at the end after Caris, but we're going to go straight on to Caris's talk. So Caris, as we were saying earlier, she is the founder of the Polka, a marketing agency. I wanted to include today actually a small business that is using this tool, and how particularly images and creativity can be used really effectively. So welcome, Caris, and hopefully she's going to share some of her images, and let her carry on for here onwards, and we'll come back hopefully at the end to wrap up. Thank you.
Thank you very much, David. Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here with you today, and I'm looking forward to sharing some slides with you around AI and images specifically. Just a quick one, Helen, that was a really interesting question, and I'll definitely like to take that one at the end because it is a bit of a hot topic, isn't it? Whether social media and ChatGPT can work well together and how it kind of conveys and what the optics are online. So yeah, it's a good topic. I'm just going to share some slides, but before I do so, perhaps you could give me a hand wave, just a literal wave, if you have tried using image AI before. Have you used DALL-E? Have you used Canva Magic? Have you used Midjourney? Have you created any images yourselves? Odd one, but not many. Okay, well, that's probably a good thing. Okay, right, let me share my slides and I'm going to walk through with you a bit of an intro into this new world of image AI. Can everyone see that okay? Yep, brilliant. So where I want to base this presentation around is that I want AI to help you. We've all got plenty of rabbit holes in our lives. We don't need another distraction, but I do want you at the end of this presentation to feel excited about the potential opportunity that image generation AI offers for your business, inspired about the benefits that it can bring you, and ultimately be able to see the value, because we don't just want it to be fun, although I think it is quite fun, but that's just an extra benefit. I want it to bring you real business benefits, and that's the angle that I've come from today. So there are 4 key business benefits that I've wrapped these slides around that I hope will give you a sense of the value that image generation AI can bring to you. And I'm assuming that there are no designers on this call, because I think you can probably get the best value from it if you're not in this presentation, because this is really designed to be a starting point. First of all, you can use these tools, and they're really exciting and powerful, to inspire you, to spark ideas and creativity. Secondly, we're all constrained by budgets, and we don't necessarily have the money, the time, the resource to experiment and prototype with our ideas, our services, what we want our brand to be visually conveying, etc., how we want a new website to look. And we can use AI to help us experiment and prototype without the enormous outlay. Thirdly, as a marketeer, I know what a hungry beast marketing is. And if any of you are responsible for marketing, communications, sales in your organization, you'll know that the appetite the marketing machine has is insatiable. And generative image AI can really help us with unique, consistent, high quality images. And the last one, as we all know as business folk, is time. That's really the holy grail. And if we can master this, then we can save time. But I say master because you can't just, like any new tool or machine that you're learning, you can't just expect to log on, start, and be an ace pro from the beginning. You do have to take some time to learn it, but ultimately it can save you time. I should also say before I go on that every single image in this presentation has been made using AI. There are no stock photos, there are no clip art, there are no photos. Everything has been made using DALL-E, Canva or Midjourney. So if you see an image and you think that looks like a photo or that looks like a painting, it's not, it's from AI. So where do we start? There are 3 key AI tools that I would encourage you to have a go at playing with. And David's talked about ChatGPT this morning and prompts, which is incredibly useful because the same principles apply when we're talking about images. The three tools that I would encourage you to have a look at and have a play with and try not to get lost down too many rabbit holes are DALL-E, Canva and Midjourney. And you may or may not have heard of those tools, but I'll just give you a quick whistle-stop tour. DALL-E is from the OpenAI suite of products, so it is the sibling of ChatGPT. It's image-based cousin. Canva, if you have any kind of responsibility for marketing external communications, you may well be aware of Canva because it is a design tool for non-designers. It's a brilliant tool. If you haven't gotten hold of it, do get hold of it. And you may or may not be aware of the fact that Canva has launched a whole suite of AI tools within its platform. It doesn't brand them as Canva AI though, it brands them as Canva Magic, which I think is quite an interesting move from a brand positioning perspective, because it is using language that's consistent with the Canva brand, but that is another point entirely. There is AI capability within Canva and you'll find it within Canva Magic. And the last one is Midjourney, which I would say is the most technical of the tools that I have listed, but from an image perspective, it is probably the best. So if you get a little bit addicted to this stuff, like I have to admit that I am now a Midjourney fan. Unlike text AI, there is a cost to images. So you can download the ChatGPT app for free and you can start playing with it. There is a small cost involved for any of the image tools. If you're a premium member of ChatGPT, you will get DALL-E for free. If you're not, you'll have to pay. You buy credits, and the images cost anywhere between about 2p and 10p. I mean, they are cheap, but there is a cost attached to them. Canva Pro demands a subscription. It's around £100 a year. Likewise, Midjourney has a subscription too, which is for the basic package around £100 a year. So none of the costs are prohibitive, but there is a small barrier in place to start playing with this stuff, which there isn't when we're talking about text-based AI. So you all know about prompts because David's given you a brilliant explanation of prompts this morning, and the fact that you're giving these clever machines a brief. And we all know that when we're briefing something, the better and more substantial and informative our brief is, the better the output will be. Because despite these AI tools feeling like they're mini geniuses in our pocket, they do not hold crystal balls, and we do have to tell them what we need to get out of them. So that is a very brief introduction to the image generation AI tools. And here are some examples of some of the images you can create. So here's DALL-E and here's a prompt. And just as David mentioned this morning, a prompt is a set of instructions, essentially, a piece of information that you're providing to this machine to get it to give you the output that you want. And in the world of images, we want to tell it the style to use, the subject matter, the color palette, so on and so forth. So the more detailed the prompt, the more able it is to read your mind. So here is my DALL-E image of a goldfinch in an English garden. And I want to demonstrate in this presentation that there are so many different styles that you can use. It really is endless. And I hope that I tried to kind of summon the depths of my own creativity to use things like photo styles or impressionist styles or illustrative styles to show you that it can do everything as long as you provide it with the direction. So here is Canva. So as I said, this is called Canva Magic. So if you're in the Canva platform, you will see this as Canva Magic. And I wanted it to show how you could create something that feels quite photographic. And whether we use that in business, I can now take that to a kitchen fitter in my dreams and say I want that to be my new kitchen. And Midjourney. Midjourney, as I said, it feels way more technical than the other tools. And in fact, to start using Midjourney, you need to have a Discord account. And it feels a little bit like going back in time and going onto Windows in the 90s when you had to give MS-DOS prompts. You have to literally give it a / and a prompt and tell it what to do. But once you get the hang of it, it is incredible. So these are 4 images that Midjourney created around a car driving fast in a futuristic city. Now, it's already been said here today that one of the brilliant benefits of AI is blank page-itis, which I really loved and I wrote down because I think that's a fantastic word. And I think we all can suffer from blank page-itis. And certainly if we're working in a business which doesn't necessarily feel as creative as some, we can use these image AI tools to spark our own creativity and ideas. So this is Midjourney and this is the explore page. And I'm saying here that I work for an accountancy firm, and I can imagine if I work for an accountancy firm, it might kind of get difficult to think of a way to visually sell our services. So I've simply put in the keyword here, accounting, and it shows me all the images that have been created on Midjourney for this keyword or bringing up this keyword. So it is a fantastic way of sparking ideas and unlocking some of the blank page itis. Now, I mentioned before that one of the business benefits that I wanted to go over was experimentation, because experimentation is incredibly costly and also very time consuming. And what happens if we had the means of doing it without the photo shoot, or without the expense, or without the new website, or without the product prototype, or without mocking up a new service or a new product? And although we can't obviously do that to the full, we can get a sense and we can start to experiment with new ideas. And this slide here just shows you some of the ways that you could start to experiment and prototype. This image here is using DALL-E, and one of the great things about DALL-E is that you can upload your own image. It could be a photo, it could be an illustration, it could be a graphic, and then you can tell DALL-E to kind of riff on what you have uploaded. So if you were planning, say, a photo shoot, a product photo shoot, you might want to test whether your product would work in a particular setting. So you can ask it to place an image that looks like yours in a setting as you describe. Or perhaps you are thinking about a new uniform for your team, or a new way of presenting yourself. You could ask, as I've done here, to mock up a new uniform for a team of kitchen fitters. You can tell what I'm thinking about at the moment. And the last one here is I've asked it to, this is Midjourney, or I should say this is DALL-E, this is Canva, this is Midjourney. I've asked it to present a set of products in a cohesive and coherent style. And this, I think, really is about thinking, well, is this what I want my brand to look like? Could I refresh? Could I present my products differently? Is there a way that I could be visually telling the story that is some way from where we are at the moment? And this, with my Midjourney £80 a year package, doesn't cost me anything. There's no design time, photography time, etc., etc. I'm not saying this is a replacement for that. Of course, it's not. But it is a starting point. It allows you to unlock your creativity and gives you a head start. I mentioned at the beginning that marketing is a hungry beast, and as a marketer, I will tell you that you need to show up consistently, and you need to be in the places that your customers and your clients and your prospects hang out, and you need to give content at multiple touch points. But I also know that is incredibly hard, relentless, and difficult to feed the beast. So you will all, I'm sure, be creating brilliant marketing assets, and you may well be creating assets in different formats. And if you're not, I would urge you to do so: video, graphics, photos, etc., etc. But if any of you are running social media channels, you know it is incredibly hard to keep up with the algorithms. And so you will find that your image bank depletes rapidly, and you may be relying on stock photography, which is fine to an extent, but you really want to be displaying your own unique and consistent, coherent visual identity where you can. So I just asked DALL-E at the top, Midjourney at the bottom, to create me a consistent and coherent set of images based on two imaginary businesses. I described the top as being a landscape gardener, and I described the bottom as being a blind fitter. And I wanted to demonstrate here that this could supplement all of your brilliant marketing assets and help you remain consistent, coherent with your own unique style and visual identity in the demanding world of social media, because I absolutely know how relentless it is. One aspect of marketing which is extremely hard as a small business to keep up with is the sense of being topical and timely. And I wanted to illustrate here with my fake makeup brand that you could use image AI to reflect your seasons. So this was one base image, and I've asked Midjourney to seasonalize it. And again, you may not have the time or the resource or the budget to keep up to date your seasonal imagery, or refresh every time there's something topical, or the weather changes, or the seasons change, or there's a holiday, etc., etc. But you could get AI to do that, and I think this is a really neat way of using the tool. Of course, I've used a product here, but equally this could be applied to a service business. You could be a solicitor. You could ask the AI to come up with a solicitor sitting at a computer wearing a Christmas hat, or a living room for an interior design business that is dressed for Halloween. There are endless possibilities, but the point is that you can keep up with seasons, make it topical and timely, and your content to appear more relevant. Now, the last business benefit that was on my list, I said, takes a little bit of mastering, because it's actually pulling together two AI tools. And I think that's where we come to the holy grail of this new AI world. All of this prompt stuff takes time. If I was to go into Canva and write out a prompt by hand each time, that would be extremely time consuming. So instead, I could use ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is brilliant at words, to create me a list of 50 prompts that I could use for Midjourney or DALL-E or Canva Magic, to create a coherent set of images that all feel consistent, that all feel on brand, that all feel on message. And there we go. ChatGPT does it. It creates my 50 prompts, which I can then go and edit as I wish, but it gives me a base and a starting point, so I'm not starting from nothing. That blank page itis has been answered, and I can go into the generative AI tools and I can paste them in. So that concludes this absolutely whistle-stop and tour of image AI. I hope it's piqued your interest, given you a sense of what is possible, and allowed you to feel that there is potential to add value to your own business. This is my LinkedIn. I'll drop it in the chat, and I hope that was useful, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Caris, thank you so much for that. That's really, really interesting. I love the last point. You're using Chatbot GPT to create prompts for Midjourney. I've got a couple of questions. We've got a couple of minutes. I'm going to fire at you, which I think was relevant to everyone. Firstly, Isabel Connell has said, I'm a complete novice at this. What would you say to which of the best image tools would you recommend to Isabel to just start playing? And I just imagine the scenario that Isabel wants to, I don't know, create images for a potential campaign on Instagram, for example. Which of the tools would you recommend to her to start?
Hello. Yeah, that's a great question. So I would start with Canva, because it gives you an all-round package, and I would use the Canva Magic function within the whole Canva platform. If you already use Canva and you feel that you're quite au fait with it and you've got to the end of what Canva can give you, I would then move on to DALL-E. Finally, after I had built up a bit of expertise and confidence, I'd tackle Midjourney. Midjourney is undoubtedly the best at image generation. There's no doubt about it, but it is also the most complicated. It also feels the most technical. Canva offers you a bit of everything. It's a fantastic tool. If you're not using it, get on it. DALL-E is somewhere in between. Midjourney is undoubtedly the best, but the most complicated.
Okay, thank you. And Helen Barrett asked the question about social media posts. There is a perception, I do have them, that you can tell a post on LinkedIn, for example, when it's been created by ChatGPT. I just wonder what your own recommendation for a small business, again, that is time poor, how could they use this tool to really get better at their social media posting and save time doing that to get good ideas?
Yeah, sure. I do have a definite view on this. Hello, Helen, and thank you for your question. Somewhat controversially, I don't think ChatGPT is brilliant at creating content that can be pasted verbatim, because as you recognise, when you scroll your social media feeds, you can tell if something has been created through AI, and it probably doesn't sound that great. You can see the telltale signs, the 3 hashtags, the emoji list, all of that stuff, and it isn't good. What I would do is I would utilize the principles of a copywriter, which is it's difficult to start something, and breaking through the barrier of writing can often be the hardest thing. I would use ChatGPT to create a framework for you. You can create a loose post, but the beauty of good writing is always in the edit. So don't think because you've created something using a tool which can write with decent grammar and can string a sentence together that it replaces who you are. It absolutely doesn't. It's highly unlikely that it has captured your tone of voice, the style that you wish to convey, and the person that you are. Think of it as a second stage of a starting point when you're creating content, but not the final piece, and you are the editor. So hone your editing skills, get the backspace fired up, and refine and iterate. It shouldn't be the final product.
Thank you. A couple more questions. Andy Borrow has asked, can you get high resolution images from the tools? Do we know anything about high resolution images?
Yeah, there are different costs on DALL-E for different resolutions of images. If you look at the OpenAI pricing page, it walks you through the different costs attached to the different quality of images that you can buy. Midjourney, I believe all of the images are high res. If you're wanting to look at it more seriously, I really would urge you to go to Midjourney ultimately. Canva, I don't think the images are high res. DALL-E, you can toggle with options. Does that answer your question, Andy?
Thank you for that. I'm going to leave our contact details and Karis's details at the end of this session because we're running out a bit of time. Thank you for staying with us up until this moment. That's great. We are really excited that the third and final session will be next month. We're going to be looking at Microsoft Copilot Pro. That's really exciting. But I'm going to ask Jane to kind of finish off and give you an update on what's going on at Business Bucks first, because they've got some really interesting events coming up. But just key takeaways from myself and Karis. So firstly, be really explicit in your prompts. Secondly, test and learn its usefulness, its relevancy, the nuance for your business sector. Thirdly, and repeating what Karis has said, images tools, as she was just showing you with the kitchens, they offer an incredible, rich, creative possibility. So if you're a business that is looking for ideas, then this could be a really good strategy for that. And lastly, we're both making this case, keep testing, keep experimenting, and keep sharing with this community. And we look forward to seeing you for our final session in March. Thank you. And Jane, just going to wrap up now.
That's lovely. David and Caris, wow. In the last 45 minutes, you have opened our eyes to another whole aspect of AI, and thank you for that. I think sort of my mind is buzzing. I'm sure your own thoughts are going away. So thank you so much. You have really helped us understand some of the possibilities that are in front of us, really. And that really is quite fascinating, scary, but also very exciting. And really, it's now you've given us a thought as to how we really can apply it to our own businesses. And that was the whole point of why we wanted to put on these AI sessions. It was to make it really accessible to our business community here and really help us take some of those next steps. So David, Caris, thank you so much this morning. That has been really helpful and really worthwhile. So before you all go, I would just like to say thank you so much for joining us. But equally, I just wanted to remind you that it's not just these kind of power hour sessions that we're here. There's many other aspects that we can help you with. Yes, other business challenges. We've got a team of business advisors. So our own growth program here can help and support those businesses amongst you who are really actively looking to grow and develop. Take your team with you on this journey about growth and development, all different kinds of challenges. We're all a team of business people in our own right, so we understand what it's like to run a business. So please do come and talk to us if you need that kind of next kind of boost for your own business. So do make contact with us. And the beauty of it, there is no cost other than obviously your time. But people who have engaged with us have found it to be incredibly beneficial to them. So we've got that. Also very high on all of our agendas, net zero bucks. And it's very much a question of there. We've got support available for you to help your own business understand how you can reduce your energy costs and waste, and help and understand how you can look at your own carbon footprint within your business. And that's a great opportunity for you. So do make the most of all of that. There are a number of series of online power hour events coming up. There is a QR code if you want to quickly scan it. There is one tomorrow and also on the 20th of March. A couple of topics there about some of those things. And again, it's very much all about being accessible to you, about what those subjects are and how you can get involved in that net zero aspiration for your own business and making it a reality too. We also have, for those of you, a rural grant for businesses based in a rural area within the county. So if you are interested in that, please do come forward quickly. These grants are not going to be available for long, and there is a time process and planning that. So if you are looking for capital grants and you are based in a rural part of the county, then do make an interest to my colleague there, Will. I will contact any of us and we can help you get in contact with Will. Just final reminder there, Skills Show back on the early in March, 6th and 7th of March, Skills Show. It's all about how you as employers can get yourself involved with the young people, your workforce of tomorrow. So do get involved. We've got over 5,000 young people coming, attending over those 2 dates. And we are looking forward to a really great couple of days, inspiring our young people in this county about what kind of future, what skills they are going to require and what occupations and sectors they want to get involved in their working careers. So the Skills Show coming up 6th and 7th of March. And part of that, also the 6th and 7th, on the evening of the 6th, it is also open for all ages, adults alike. So if there are members of families or friends who are looking for that kind of career change, it is open for them as well. And as we say, Buckinghamshire Business First is just more than, so it is about being that part of that community. So do get involved with us by attending these kind of events, and really just getting involved will really open many, many doors for you. So thank you. thank you again for being part of this morning. David, Caris, Sarah, thank you once again. And if we'll stay around for a couple of more minutes, we have actually just probably 1 more minute. We'll stay around to see if there's any other further questions, but thank you for joining us this morning. Been absolutely fantastic, opened our eyes, and I really look forward to seeing you all again on the final part of the AI Power Hour series in March. So thank you once again. We're here if there's any urgent questions, and I think David and Caris are going to share some onto the chat there, some contact details if you require it. So thank you very much, and if you want any questions, we're around. Please do get in contact with us. So thanks once again for joining us this morning.